All right, so you taught a course yesterday, which honestly I thought was super great. Principles of Real Estate Investing. Maybe this name isn't quite as sexy as what we actually talked through.
We didn't have everybody vote on a new name.
Oh no, we forgot to do that.
Because I ran 90 minutes on a 60-minute course.
Whoops. Weird.
My bad.
Yeah. So really excited that we got into this topic with our agents. Why is it that we are so passionate? And we do see this from two lenses. Like one, this does maybe help you as a realtor serve your investor clients better. But really we're super passionate about our own real estate agents understanding owning real estate and the importance of that. So I guess why are we so passionate about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's become such a big part of what we're doing here. It's, we set out to learn how to sell houses and represent buyers and sellers, and then we figured out this work by referral thing. And, but man, as we've done this, we've figured out that we're building something beautiful here. We're helping entrepreneurs develop freedom and to build profitable, sustainable, enjoyable businesses. And a component of that is figuring out how to leverage real estate as a vehicle to create long-term financial freedom. 4 freedoms: time, money, relationships, and purpose. And so it's not at the core of what we do here, but it is a peripheral and less peripheral part of what we're building, which means, we sell houses, we represent buyers and sellers, but along the way, we have the opportunity to invest in the thing that we believe in most, which is real estate as a long-term vehicle for equity building and growth and leverage. And we've got so many agents doing so much real estate investing.
So many cool things in this area, yeah.
And selfishly, I'll be honest, I'm embarking on another chapter and journey as I come into the fall of my life. I'm now 46, almost 47. My fall is 46 through like 66. A big part of my attention is moving to how I take my real estate portfolio and double down on that. Ashton's coming on board as an agent. Yeah, so fun. As a part of the backdrop here actually is that I'm building with Ashton for us some tools that we're using to analyze our properties, to isolate good candidates for future investment purchases. And I'm really getting into the metrics of not just a house and whether it cash flows, but real estate investments over 20, 30 years and how to dial them in as you try to build a healthy portfolio. So look, I'm saying a lot there. We're passionate about real estate sales, but we really are more passionate about entrepreneurs building attaining the 4 freedoms. Yeah. Buying investments is not a necessary component, but it's a no-brainer part of building a great real estate business. And we love the freedom that great, well-purchased, well-managed real estate investments provide for people. So it just feels like a natural progression of what we're building.
We're living this space. Why not be part of the space actively, right? I think the biggest takeaway, I loved people's minds turning. What was revealed yesterday for a lot of people, I think, was the impact of the long-term, like the long-term wealth-building game that we're playing here versus, is this today a good investment if I buy it right now? It was a new opening a door and a window for them as far as like how they can look at this as an investment opportunity. So I think that was super cool.
I guess it's like that with everything. We're just not taught to think. The brain doesn't work well over 30 and 50 years. It's why we screw up financially. We don't understand the power of compounding. We don't understand financial investments over time, the time value of money. All that is we're teaching our staff even to think over 30, 40-year time horizons. It's the same problem here. So we are analyzing real estate investments with a short-term thinking. Mindset. Yeah. And so that leads us to focus on certain elements of it and certain problems around it. And if you can see the 40-year impact of that investment, however painful it might be up front, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm happy to deal with this crazy tenant.
Seems like a great idea. That's a good even just lens to even think that through.
So that was the tool, right? The tool we put in front of everyone really is, I didn't say this very well yesterday, but it's a teaching tool. It's, yes, it's an analyzer of real estate, but it's really a teaching tool to shift your thinking to understand what you're actually looking at and to visualize the time value of each investment and then allow you to make smart decisions on what a good or bad investment is. Yeah, so I kind of want to, that tool was kind of the end game of summation of kind of understanding some other things so that you can get to that tool and go, okay, this makes sense to me intuitively, right? So you started with the 7 wealth builders of real estate, because I think this is important just to make sure you have these
frameworks in mind before you kind of get into the numbers and then analyzing it itself. So let's just kind of run through. I would love for you to just kind of like the seven wealth builders in a way.
I'll try to do it quicker than I did yesterday.
Okay.
I'll actually start at the end. I'll say that the first one that everyone thinks of is number 3.
Okay.
So we think of cash flow.
You're right.
And someone who pointed this out, that was the biggest insight, as they went from thinking primarily about cash flow to recognizing that cash flow is actually one of the smallest levers.
Yeah, either Jacob or Zach was kind of talking about that.
No, it
yeah.
was a female.
Katie?
I don't remember who it was.
Yeah. Okay.
Cash flow is one of the levers. So when we own a real estate investment, it spits out extra cash after all the expenses that we have. And in time, that can be considerable. Up front, that's actually not that. The only way to make cash flow big up front is to inject a ton of cash in, or have immensely wonderful interest rates, neither of which are great options right now. So cash flow is one of the levers. But if I start at the very beginning, the 7 levers. 1, this investment, unlike many others, the leverage, the principal that you owe on this property gets paid down not by you, but it gets paid down by a tenant. Somebody else's money every month comes into this machine and pays down a principal amount that you own. So that's lever number 1.
Yep.
Lever number 2 is that this is an asset that appreciates over time. It goes up 3 to 4% every year. Yes, some years it's more. Yes, some years it's less. When you owned real estate coming into 2020 and 2021 and 2022, that number was 20%.
Crazy.
And 2 to 3 years of 20% growth is significant amounts of growth. Now, we can't bank on that, but here's what you can bank on. Over time, you're going to see 3 to 5% appreciation on your real estate assets.
Yes, you can bet on that over the average.
In and of itself, that's not an amazing return. But when you compound that on the other 7 levers, all of a sudden it is. The third lever is cash flow. You get to earn some free cash after accounting for all the things you need to account for, after accounting for maintenance reserves, after accounting for vacancy, after accounting for all of that, you can get a property that spits out some additional cash, which if you manage that well, can turn into future down payments.
Investments, yeah.
Number 4 is that you get the tax advantage of being to, quote unquote, write off your mortgage interest, which is pretty much all of your mortgage payment every month up front. So the vast majority, 90-something% of your monthly mortgage payments is going to be your interest. And all of that, you reduce the margin or the profit that you have to report to the IRS by that amount. And this is actually really, really hard to talk about until you see it on the spreadsheet.
Absolutely.
And that's what was so
very
powerful
eye-opening.
about. Yes.
Yeah.
When you see that on the P&L for the property, you recognize that you report a loss on your property, even if you have a positive cash flow and even if you have a large positive equity increase.
Yeah.
Because you get to write off the interest. Number 5, this is the magic part. You have an appreciating asset that somebody else is paying down for you. You're making some free cash on it every month, and you're getting to report a loss to the IRS. So far, it's like, whoa, hold on. What kind of magical unicorn force is this? But now we get to number 5, and we go, it's even better.
Even better.
You get to take this appreciating asset, and because the government says so, you get to say it's a depreciating asset. It keeps going up in value, but on paper, it goes down, and the entire asset can be written off over 27 and a half years. And then we talked a little bit about the fact that you can expedite that through a cost segregation study. That's a little more fancy that we need to get into today. But the point here is that in addition to the interest, you're able to write off the entire asset over 27 and a half years. When I say entire, I mean just the improvements. So about 80% of a residential home is the improvements. Mm-hmm. You get to write that off as well. So now the loss that we're reporting to the IRS is even larger. Mm-hmm. So we get to reduce our tax obligation every single year on something that's actually going up in value while our mortgage is going down, while we're getting cash.
Yeah.
This is actually a magical sleight of hand.
I will say that, but I'll jump in on the depreciation. Something you said yesterday that really made it clear for me that helped was, it makes sense that the asset is depreciating. It's just getting older. It's aging, right?
Eventually, you will have to replace every part of the house. The floor, the paint, the faucets.
Yeah, so when you go it's appreciating in value, just sales price market 3 to 4%, right? But then that made total sense to me. I'm like, duh. Yes, it's getting older. It's aging. There's things that go wrong with this. Yes.
We're not cheating anyone by depreciating it.
Yes.
There's a reason it depreciates, because you will have to replace everything in there. But the financial impact of that on a compounding scale over the 30-year lifespan of the loan, for example, is a massive amount of financial upside.
Really good. Number 6.
Number 6 is that we have this magical opportunity to engage in a 1031 exchange. And the reason this is powerful is if you have a asset stocks and you want to move those stocks, maybe I should approach it this way. Part of the value of real estate is that we can depreciate it.
Yes.
But if it fully depreciates, well, now we don't get that lever anymore. But we have a magical solution to that.
Yes, we do.
You can sell the asset and not realize a taxable event. And you can transfer it to another asset, so long as you follow the rules of 1031 exchange, buy a different one with a new basis. Whatever you buy the new one for is your new depreciable basis, and you can reset the depreciation. So your money, you got to write off your investment through depreciation, and anytime you want, you can transfer that with no taxable gains and start it over.
Yeah, that's great.
So 1031 is a magical force in real estate. Now, you can kind of do that with certain stock portfolios. You can move... But if it's not, it has to be asset for asset, and it has to be the same stocks essentially. But if you ever liquidate anything, there's a taxable gain, and you have to realize that you don't have to do that with real estate.
Yeah.
Number 7 is that you've got this asset. I'm just going to keep repeating these stupid things.
Yeah,
that somebody else is paying down, that's going up in value, that you're realizing free cash flow on, that you write off the interest, and you get to depreciate. And anytime you want, you can reset the basis by moving it to another asset. And number 7, you can structure it in a way that the equity that you have in that isn't tied up. It can be accessible to you at any point. Now, you can't, if you just bought the house and you just put 20% in, you can't get to that equity. But once you build a couple of real estate investments and you lump them together in an LLC, to be able to get a line of credit against the equity in those assets, which creates liquid buying power, because you don't have to refinance each of these houses to get to the money. That's how we tend to think in the normal world. We go, well, my house is paid off. It's 50% paid off. I'm going to take a HELOC to get that money. But oh my gosh, that means that interest rates high and whatever. Or I have to refinance the whole thing and do a cash out refinance. You don't need to do that. If you have 3 or 4 or a handful or 10, 20 properties and you've paid them down, you can easily go get a line of credit against the equity in those assets through pretty much any bank that allows you to get access. Now, the trick on this is you don't want to do that to a point that you over-lever.
Yep.
Because we don't, at the end of the day, the whole thing, including whatever we pull out of it in cash that we use for whatever, it needs to cash flow, right? And it needs to self-sustain, and it needs to not become risky.
Yes.
Which is above, for me, like a 75% loan to value, including whatever you pull out.
Yeah.
But the point there is you've got those 6 levers plus the capacity to access that equity, which means you've got buying power when the time
other
is
opportunities present itself,
Absolutely.
right? I think the percentages were super helpful as the group in explaining it in the totality of your real estate portfolio, kind of looking at it as a whole and kind of having some of those levers to kind of play with. And the way you explained that yesterday was great.
And maybe that's too much, because what you need to start with is go buy a house.
Yeah.
And if you're one of our staff members and you've got a house and it's at 2.8%, but you're planning to make a move because you need another bedroom,
try to keep
keep
that
the
first
one
house.
You've got. It doesn't have to start fancy, but if you start simple and you build, time is a powerful force. And now you've got 2 or 3 houses and you've been paying them down over 10, 15 years. You really have this amazing vehicle that you can then leverage. And I think people don't understand the power of all those levers working together as a compounding force for long-term wealth creation.
Yeah. And I think it's worth pointing out, it's on the resource. Make sure you check it out as well. But there are 2 bonus kind of things because we are in this industry, because we are realtors. There's an 8 and 9 bonus in this Wealth Builders as well. So go ahead and talk about those.
Yeah, well, we're realtors, and so we know about things that are on the market. And sometimes, we've got a lot of agents that meet with a seller and go, well, would you entertain an offer from me? And number 9 is that when we do that, so one, we have access to the best deals in the marketplace.
Yep.
Often before they ever hit the market. And I just want to say something on that. Yeah, they would get maybe a higher price if they exposed to the whole marketplace. I get that. Also, some people, I don't want to have to list my house.
Showings
If you
and
bring me a
photos and
decent,
yes.
good offer, I'd much rather have a deal,
Just sell it.
honestly, up front than have to deal with all that crap.
100%.
So just get that out of your brain that you're doing somebody a disservice by making an offer on a property and saying, hey, I'll take this off your hands for this amount.
For some clients.
Number 9 is that you actually get to earn commission doing that. And that's not a small consideration. To be able to finance in 3, 5, even 7, 8, 9, 10% of the asset as commissions. Yes, it's taxable revenue, but that's okay. We get to fund the cash implications of the purchase into the financing because we've got this extra lever of earning commissions when we buy. And if nothing else, that seller was going to pay 3% no matter what.
Yeah.
And you get to take that 3 and have that impact the investment up front as additional cash into this little machine.
Yeah. And I on this caveat, if any of this sounds like fancy footwork, we do have a lot of people doing this, right? Like you are a great person to have conversations with. You're passionate about this. You would be happy to have conversations with people about this. Answered a lot of good questions yesterday in the course as well. So yeah, I think talk to people that you know if some of this is kind of going, okay, I'm not quite sure.
I went slightly quicker than
No,
it
was good.
Much.
It was faster. It was good. So other than those, okay, if you have that foundation of understanding all of these levers, it's the 7 wealth plus your 2 bonus wealth builders, right? We start to get into the actual KPIs, right? So I think it's important to look at these 5 KPIs so that, right, like this all kind of compounds on each other so that when you go to analyze these and then use the tool that we have as a resource, it all starts to kind of coalesce together and make more sense. So let's talk about cash flow a little bit more because I think this is, again, cash flow and cap rate are probably the 2 biggest words out there when people are analyzing. But let's start there and then we'll keep going.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide if I have regrets about picking these 5 or not. It's because when we look at the what do we call this thing?
The analyzer, the investment analyzer?
The investment property analyzer. The IPA. Sounds like a beer. Yeah. Maybe that's a better name for it. When you look at that, you understand why KPIs matter. What we're trying to do here is see the long term as a pro forma, the performance of this asset over time.
Yeah.
And so the point of putting these 5 together was just to create some baseline understanding of some of the KPIs, but the bigger ones are actually at the bottom of that spreadsheet. They're the ROI and the cumulative ROI over time.
Yep.
But at a base level, we need to at least understand these 5. One is the notion of positive cash flow. Maybe I think what I want out of this is what the spreadsheet helps you see is that when we're dealing with cash flow, we need to start thinking of that as like actual NOI, net operating income. Cash flow isn't just the rent. It's the rent minus your principal and interest, but also your taxes, your insurance, your vacancy allowance, and then also maintenance reserves, and then anything else that's embedded into the lease, if it's utilities or HOA dues, et cetera. So, the first thing is that cash flow is essential conceptually, but also it's not easy to make properties cash flow early on. And so if cash flow is your goal, you're either going to need to, it's going to come down to financing.
Yeah.
The way to make it cash flow is to put 50%
more down
into the property or to somehow have 2% interest rates. And I don't actually advise either of those things. So part of the point of what I taught yesterday is deprioritize cash flow.
Yes.
Cash flow is a necessary component in order for this thing to be financially stable. But cash flow is not how you're going to make money on this thing over term.
Yeah, you do want to get there, right? But I think the
it will get
eye-opening and
time.
it will get there in time if you can see what it can do, right? So to be okay with a little bit of negative cash flow maybe up front.
If you can fund that.
If you can fund that, and you got to assess your risk level or whatever. But I think that was eye-opening for people. They're like, oh, I can think about this differently. Yeah, that was good. Okay.
Well, and then we covered, and I'll get the cap rate, but we covered cash on cash return. And this is really a measurement of how efficiently whatever we put in is producing a cash return. And again, what I was saying here, what I wanted everyone to have was those benchmarks. So initially, your cash on cash return, if you're getting 3 to 5%, that's great. Over time, your cash on cash return will certainly go up because your rents will go up, your interest payments will go down, and your capacity to generate free cash flow out of this asset that's starting to be paid off as rents go up is going to be more attainable. But really, this is, I like to think of this as if I put money into a stock, this is what kind of dividends can I receive. That's interesting from a cash analysis. But there's certain stocks you buy that you don't get dividends because they're a growth stock. And what they're going to do is they're going to double or triple in value in 5 years. So what's more important to me, how much cash I can get out of my real estate investment or stock, or how much in 30 years I'm going to be able to realize on this thing. And so cash on cash is back to cash flow. It's just a measurement of how money is going to flow out of this thing over time.
Yeah.
And so the benchmarks there, you can grow 15 to 30% after the 20-year period of time. And you saw that represented on the spreadsheet in time.
For sure. And I like that you said, because again, cap rate's thrown around so much, but like I like that you said that this is a better thought process than cap rate in the long run. Yesterday,
cash on cash is?
Yeah.
It's, again, I don't prioritize cash on these things. I'm playing a long game.
Yeah.
If you're trying to get assets that spit out lots of cash, you just got to put too much. You can't lever them.
Yeah.
And I believe in leverage in real estate investments over time. I don't want to be over levered.
Don't over. Yeah.
But if I'm not leveraging myself, well, for example, I mentioned Thomas, if I pay off the asset entirely, although that's nice and safe and secure, and I'm getting my cash every single month and I see what I got and I know what I got, I am over 30 years not realizing great returns comparable to if I just cut that property in half, took 50% of the equity out, realized mortgage interest reductions because by paying it off, I no longer get to write that off.
Yep.
And it's no different than losing depreciation as a lever. If you lost depreciation, you would 1031 the property. In the same way, if I pay it off, I'm losing mortgage interest deductions and I've got one asset appreciating instead of two.
Yeah.
And so on somebody else's money with somebody else paying down the interest rate, I can double down or triple or quadruple what is growing over time. So for me, cash flow is going to matter later on in the portfolio when I want this thing to be something that just is making me money while I sleep.
Yep.
But initially, when you're early on in the game, cash is not the game. So the other one we covered was loan to value. And the reason I brought this one up is more because all of these have to do with strategy for me.
Yeah.
Loan to value is a game back to what I just said about leveraging.
Leverage, yes.
I am relatively conservative. I frankly have no interest in creative financing. I don't want to own things that I only have 3 to 5% down because I found some magical way to buy them cheap because I don't want that risk.
Yeah.
I want to have a minimum of 20 to 25% equity in each property.
Yes.
So my loan to value, we understand what that is, but the game I'm interested in here is sort of where the conservative versus risky benchmarks are. You'll get banks on commercial properties or investment properties that'll give you an 80% LTV, and you can refinance the property and pull out cash up to 80%. I don't advise that because I've been through markets where we've lost 30 to 40% of the value of an asset.
Yeah.
And on a short-term loan, if you have to refinance because it's a 5 or a 10-year commercial note, and all of a sudden you've only got, you had 20%, but now it lost 30 or 40, you can't get the property refinanced. And that's where you see your, you-know-what. So the point of loan to value is that I want people to, I don't care what everyone else thinks, for me, because I've got 20 to 30 years horizon still, when my LTV gets down to 50%, I'm thinking I'm now under-levered.
Yeah. And
so it's not just, it's one, how much is over. I'd say I don't want to go above 75%. But as my portfolio gets down to 40, 45%, I'm looking at that going, wait, I need to access some of that cash and re-lever into other assets back up to
take
about
it as
75%.
An opportunity to go create.
Now, when I'm 60, that'll be a different game. At that point, I want that LTV to start dropping. Because at some point I don't want to keep doubling down.
Yes.
I want to just have this thing slowly build a wall around it and have it just be a cash provider.
This is like the growth mode, like a little bit, right? The growth mode
really
thinking.
Not different than stocks.
Yeah.
If you're 20 and you're buying stocks, you're not looking for stocks that produce high yield dividends. You're looking for stocks that grow because you've got time and you can weather. But once you get older, you need to get out of growth stocks that have risk associated with them, and you need to get into safe and secure stocks that just spit out cash for you, because that's what you're looking for. That
makes total sense.
It's the same game.
Yep.
We covered cap rate. Cap rate is fine. Cap rate is what we tend to talk about as realtors, because it's number one, I think we learn it in our licensing.
Yes, you learn it in licensing class.
And it's good. But all cap rate is really showing us is if there was no financing, it's a rule of thumb metric.
Yeah.
And it allows us to go, what is the net operating income for this thing annually divided by the purchase price?
And get a percentage, yes.
And we talk about, I've heard it said, we're looking for 10%. That is and that's not because rates are high. This is just because prices are relatively high. It's very, very hard to find a 10% cap rate.
Yeah.
If you find a 10% cap rate, it's probably a risky or scary or crazy asset. Mm-hmm. In premium markets where what you're looking at is really, really good, steady, solid A-grade real estate, it's actually more likely you're going to see like a 5-6% cap rate is pretty solid. So, but cap rate is for sure a early on KPI to look at to assess where this property's at. And then the other one we shared was the 1% rule. And I think this is actually maybe terrible, but it's out there. It's out there a lot. You'll hear this if you get into the space in TikTok.
Yeah, I was going to say, start watching the things. Yeah.
Yes, you're going to see a lot of people talk about the 1% rule, and it's simply the notion that I think is very, very hard to realize in any market right now is that your monthly rents equate to 1% of your purchase price. So a $300,000 property, you'd be wanting to get
about $3,000 of rent a month.
And I think we discussed this briefly. That's not true in this marketplace right now. There might be some markets where you can realize this. Smaller towns, I think you might be able to do this. But in Des Moines, $200,000 rental, well, first of all, that's hard to find. Let's say a $300,000 rental. Probably only realizing $2,300 of rent.
Yep, absolutely. So I think these KPIs are important for people to wrap their head around. And I love that you said some of these are just called out elsewhere. So you want to understand what they are, right? So that you can kind of play with the different numbers and understand what to do with them. So yes, all of this culminates into that tool. We've talked about it kind of quite a bit, but I loved the framework that you gave.
Hard to do a podcast about
a tool that we can't see.
In-depth pro forma that no one can see.
The most helpful way that you described it to me was the three hats, like the three hats that it wears, that you can kind of see, like, who are you reporting this number to, and the importance of understanding those lines for what you're thinking about when you're thinking about those things. So those three hats were the tax guy, right? Like your tax accountant, the banker, and your financial advisor. So kind of just maybe the three hats is the best way to do it without having the tool in front of us.
Yeah, that's good. So what we're looking at in our brains is a spreadsheet that runs over 30 years, right? Uh-huh. And the top half of the spreadsheet is really, it's kind of our P&L. Mm-hmm. And our P&L is what we show the tax guy, because at the end of the year, we have to pay taxes on any business or asset based on its profit.
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. So the beauty of these 9 levers is that the way the tax code is written for real estate investments is we get to write off the interest, and we get to write off the depreciation. So when we run our analysis, what we're going to see is for the first 5, 10, maybe 15 years, even though the banker and the financial advisor are going to look at this and go, ooh, this thing spit out cash, and ooh, this thing grew your equity notably.
Yep.
The tax guy is going to see our P&L, and it's going to show a notable loss. Mm-hmm. So the first game we're looking at is we want to lose money for the tax guy. Yes. We don't want to pay taxes.
Extra, yep.
And so, the first part is really, in essence, your P&L, and it's showing, wow, I lost a lot of money on this investment. The reason you're losing it is because you get to, on paper, write off the interest, and you get to depreciate the asset. The next little block that we look at then is our
bank account, like what's happening to your bank account. Yes.
And there's a couple games there, because the first half of the banker is your actual cash flow. And what I was showing everyone is it's okay, frankly, in my brain, not cash flowing marvelously on any one property. So I've got a whole bunch of properties, right? And some of them in the first 2-3 years, I've bought them. And in this environment, they really just don't. They maybe break even or even lose me $50 a month. Right. That's not ideal. I don't want that. But it's okay so long as the portfolio as a whole is cash flowing. I don't want to have this thing need money every month. Mm-hmm. But on any one property, a little bit of negative cash flow when we analyze the property over time isn't maybe the end of the world. So the first half is actual annual and monthly cash flow. But we need to think smarter than that and recognize what is the net sort of realized cash implications, because what we have to consider is, even though we might be just breaking even on cash flow, wait, our mortgage actually got paid down.
Yeah.
And I forget what the other line item was on there, but our net effective cash flow is just a way for us to think about what was the actual impact to our quote unquote bank accounts.
Yes. And I think that really helps people that are maybe a little more risk averse to like see the actual monthly out. If this was the only one, can you in your head wrap your mind around that potential having to pay that out every month or whatever that may be? And there's other like safety nets built into the getting to the NOI, which I think is helpful. So the last part you already said, the financial advisor part, right? Like
This is my equity.
They're excited about your portfolio and what it's doing, right? So it shows these three different lenses. So yeah.
Well, and so what I want is, you can't do this year 20 and 30. It's hard to show a loss on something that has tons of equity, is spitting out free cash now. But for the first 10 to 15 years, conceptually, the goal is that we're gaining notable amounts of equity, principal reduction. And so our net worth is growing notably, while we are now realizing positive cash flow.
Yep.
While reporting a loss to the bank. That's where these levers all come into play, is that I can reduce my tax obligation because I sell so many houses and I make a bunch of money being a realtor. I can reduce that tax obligation by losing money on my real estate investments, even though they're spitting out some cash for me. They're going to spit out a lot of cash one day.
Yep.
But they're spitting out some cash for me while my equity position is growing notably and compounding over time. And then somewhere in that game is, wait, at 15 years or whatever, the interest payments are now a small part of the payment because I've paid it down.
Yep.
And I've maybe depreciated the majority of the asset off. And I'm like, depreciation's about to go away. And then I go, okay, I've still got 20 more years. Let me shift these assets into something else. Maybe I move from single family up to multifamily.
Right.
Easier to manage, easier to depreciate.
Yep.
So there's levers there.
Yep.
And I get to reset my basis now, and I get to write off the interest payments. And that's why I'm saying the LTV matters, because you want to be levered so that those levers remain available for you.
And yeah, absolutely.
Is this too fancy?
No, I mean, I think truly for me, I'm still learning and understanding this as well. So I think for me, and what I saw heads and eyes and brains and hearts doing in the class yesterday was just, I've never thought of it that way.
Is a chess
That's
game.
what it was very intriguing to like.
It's
see
just
all
not
of
even chess. It's a little bit of checkers.
Yeah.
It's not that complicated.
Yeah.
And I think what that tool does is it takes the mystery of these as concepts, and it shows how they play out over time. And you can change one or two assumptions. What if I manage it myself? Drop that fee.
Yep.
What if I finance it slightly differently and put more money or less money in?
What if I get a slightly lower price and have some more instant equity in that property? Yes.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it uncomplicates the seemingly complicated.
It first complicates it, and then it uncomplicates it.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think you've said it a little bit. I want to wrap up with I want to camp on how do we get started, right? So if this is you and I maybe own my own home right now, but how do I just get started and going down this road of investing now that I maybe have some tools to help me think about them slightly different?
Man, there's just too much to say.
Like that's a whole other podcast.
Well, I mean, maybe the very first point is decide that this is part of your game plan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's like 90% of the work to be done is, do you want to decide to add real estate? Because there's a lot of tapes in our head. Oh, that's a nightmare. I don't want to deal with tenants.
I don't want to be a landlord.
There's risk. Or okay, that's great. What's 30 years from you now going to say?
Yeah.
Because 30 years from now, me is saying, dude, you should have done more of that. And you sure as heck should have jumped on the train when interest rates were at 3%.
Yeah. What's the trade-off of not deciding to
So
make
one,
that?
decide that you want to build a portfolio, or two, look at where you're at and ask yourself, what's your point of entry? So do you own a house at 2.8% right now that at some point, well, even if you don't want to move, would it be prudent for you to consider moving in order to turn that into your first asset that somebody else is paying the principal down? Now, the downside to that is you've got to go buy something now at 6.5%, at least for now.
Yeah.
and it's going to be expensive.
It's not going to be cheap.
But if you can do that, you now have created, by moving forward from something locked in at 30 years at a 2.8%, you've got an asset that probably can cash flow.
Cash flow almost instantaneously.
And you can get somebody else to start paying it down.
Absolutely.
Alternatively, if you're not at that place, for some of our younger, there were some younger guys in the room that were asking questions, you can go buy your first real estate investment property without having to put 20% down.
Yeah.
Now, I don't necessarily advise that because it's going to be harder to make it cash flow. But I do love the idea that you can buy your first 10 houses on secondary market financing. And so until you own 10 and have to get commercial loans, you get to buy the property for you, move in for 2 months if you need to, so that you're not lying to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Or get a roommate on the first one. I know that, heck, we've got staff members that have done that recently.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ways to get started, but I'll go back to what you said earlier on. There is no right answer here. There's just other people. We've got so many smart people in our company right now, many of which own 10, 15, 20 of these rentals and have been doing this for quite some time. Some of them manage it themselves. Some of them pay management fees.
Yeah.
They're all doing it slightly different ways. But oh my gosh, the collective knowledge inside of our organization right now. And we're all a little, what's the word? The emperor has no clothes. We're all a little.
Not quite as.
No one feels like an
perfect
expert.
Or an expert, yes, you think, yeah.
We're all winging it.
Yeah.
But man, it's like you're winging it until you realize, wait, I'm 40-something. I've built a portfolio, and I'm not going to name names, but we've got some people that have built a significant amount of wealth through nothing sexy. Just one at a time, when the deal was right, financed it smart. No creative footwork, just time.
Yeah.
Time applied to something that's a fundamentally smart move, an asset that appreciates, that you can depreciate, that you can write off the interest, that somebody else pays the mortgage down, that at any point, if you need to, you can access the equity. This really is a magic trick.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So decide to play it.
Yeah, I think so too. And on that note, I will say, somebody also kind of commented that every time they invest in a new one, it's like kind of starting over, and you're like, is this the right move or whatever?
It's scary.
So it's seemingly scary or whatever. But yes, they've been playing in the game. They see it's working, and they're going to continue choosing to go about it with this strategy. So yeah,
let us know how we can help.
Absolutely.
It's a big part of what we love about real estate, and it's not what we set out to do, but it's absolutely a part of our business model at this point.
Of what we get to help people do. It's fun.
Love this.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it more.
Let's talk about it more.
Thanks.